It's working out. Okay. I'm just gonna wait a little bit. And my chair is really loud. I'll do some introduction. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I'm not really gonna be talking that loud or whatever today, since it's been a rough weekend. So that's why I decided on starting with this podcast. And it's not like I'm being self-centered. Like, if anything, I'm an introvert. As you can probably see above, the I as an introvert. I just want to use this opportunity to hopefully spread some knowledge or awareness of, of like people who go through the same thing, or people who don't want to feel alone, etc. And this is all gonna be a flow. There's no script, no anything, so I'm just literally gonna be talking. So yeah, if I tend to drift off, I apologize. But I'll do my best to explain, or like to at least talk about what we're gonna be talking about today. And our first topic of KiddoPodKast. Yay. So I'll start with what brought this up and why I want to talk about it. So a few days ago, I've upset a friend while we were playing a game, and during that time, I have zero recollection on what I said or what I did. And to this day, I still feel really bad about that, because when you apologize, and this is what I learned growing up in a harsh, strict environment, that like, if you were to apologize, you have to know what you did wrong so you can own up to it, or else it's not a good apology at all. And I feel really bad because it's... Sorry, I'm dissociating. It's just really bad for me because I want to make up for what I did wrong. But what sucks is that when I dissociate, I don't remember anything. It's like a part of me blacks out while another part of me is active, and I wish there was a better explanation for me to say that. But that's really the most I can say. When it comes to dissociating in stressful environments or when you're not feeling well, for me, it's just like a coping mechanism that happens automatically. I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna do this right away. It just happens, and I can't control it. I don't know when it happens. I just zone out, and this past weekend was a brutal reminder, as I guess like a crash back to reality. Like, despite me getting treatment, despite me getting what I need and everything, there are still things that I do as an imperfect human being that's going through treatment with all the bullshit because of how much I fuck everything up with stuff like that. And it just, I guess in a way it happened for a reason, but I still feel really bad. But at the same time, as much as I beat myself up for the situation I'm currently in, I own up to my mistakes. And it just reminds me that there's still a lot of things I need to work on with to have healthier relationships and to live a better life that's worth living. And It's like, wow, you still dissociate. Wow, all this anxiety and all this trauma that you've been through throughout your life still affects you and your responses. And it doesn't help that over the years you're trying every day to become a better person, but then there's setbacks that make you question your self-worth and your progress. Like, am I really becoming a better person? Am I really am I really putting in as much effort as I should? But what I learned is that every baby step you take forward is something to celebrate, because you're improving little by little. Things don't improve over the course of one night, over the course of like an hour. You're not gonna suddenly become like a better person in one day. And I learned that the hard way over the years. I've been diagnosed with BPD when I was 18. I've been struggling with the symptoms since like my teen years and even today. And I will circle back to the whole dissociation thing with BPD due to the traumas that I've been through. There would be times where I would feel so distressed, where to the point where I dissociate and I have zero recollection of what I say or what I do. And then after knowing or getting the knowledge or like being told of like what I did, the guilt settles in, everything settles in, and it's just horrible, because being blamed or like being told something that you've done to someone that you really care for and you have like zero recollection of it is the worst feeling. Because when it comes to apologies, you want to own up to something like that, but it's harder to even forgive yourself or to ask for forgiveness if you don't even know what you did wrong. But this is what I was talking with my therapist a while back, or as in like a few minutes ago actually. I had a session today and I told them sorry, like I said, like I'm just saying whatever comes to my mind. I'm going with the flow. There's no script or anything. And sometimes when it comes to topics like these, my brain decides to clock out and just blank out and just forget everything that I just said. But I decided to start this podcast series. I do want to make this a series because I guess it helps me keep track of my improvement, and I hope my struggles, what I'm dealing with, and all these can be relatable and can help others. In no means I'm doing this for like self-claim or whatever the heck. I do not care about that. I mean, if you don't know much about INFJs, or if you don't know anything about like the Myers-Briggs personality traits or whatever, my type pretty much wants a better world, and I rely on like my creativity and on my life experiences in hopes to create a better place. So by no means am I doing this for self-profit or whatever the heck. I'm literally doing this only in hopes that this could help other people and relate and just not feel alone. So I'm gonna try and circle back to what I was talking about. Dissociation is the word that's like completely in my head right now. And I'm really trying to remember what I was talking about. I'm sorry. But yeah, okay. Forgiveness, dissociation. I'd feel horrible asking for forgiveness when I have no recollection of what I did wrong, and it's really frustrating to me knowing that I've upset someone I really care about, and I have no recollection of it because of dissociation. And this is how it affects my relationships, and how it affects me, I feel, is like even worse, because while everyone is saying, oh, people make mistakes, um, it's normal to be in like downhills or steep holes or whatever the heck in relationships. But for me, if I drop a marble and someone points out that marble, or like because of that marble a kid drop his ice cream or some shit, like just something that's so little, or something that makes little to no disturbance, to me it's like the world is ending. To me it's like the universe is ending. To me it's like, oh no, I dropped this marble, now the entire universe will like succumb to darkness, and then everything will disappear because it's all my fault. And that's how I just shoulder all that blame, because I don't know what else to do. And throughout my life in relationships, when I express these type of things, when I say, oh, I'm sorry for hurting your feelings, I'm a horrible human being, I don't deserve to live, I'm so sorry, it could come out as guilt tripping. And by no means, for me at least, have I ever had the intention to guilt trip anybody, especially during an apology. But considering how I word things, considering how I deal with things throughout my life, and with the personality disorder that I'm dealing with and trying to get treatment for, it just works different. So in no way am I guilt tripping. What I'm actually doing, in my perspective, and what I truly feel deep in my heart, is I really am a bad person for hurting someone that I deeply care about. And I deserve to not live because of that. And then my my train of thought, or like I guess my roller coaster of emotions, goes to like its highest peaks, because I can go from 0 to 100 to 50 to 25 to 100 again. There can be like some loops in there, maybe like some tracks missing, so like the roller coaster falls, but then there's like more tracks. It's like, it's just that sort of feeling where I just shoulder all the blame, and everyone around me is like, you shouldn't be punishing yourself that hard, like people make mistakes. But for me it's like I committed a crime, and I guess it has something to do with my morals as well, and my fear of abandonment, and just growing up with lack of compassion with other people, because I grew up not having like genuine friendships. I didn't grow up with people I can truly rely on when things get bad. Not even my parents. So growing up like that, it would obviously affect me really badly as time goes on. And I don't know. It's something that I'm trying to get through with it, at least. And it doesn't help with the fact that I am also a very busy person. Since I'm creative, I'm artistic, I'm working on projects and stuff, all of this affects how I deal with things in real life as well. Like, if I want to record singing parts, if I want to voice act, if I want to do this and that, I just feel too shitty to do anything. And it gets down to the point where I just go into like a deep depression. And the reason why I'm linking all of my BPD symptoms with INFJ is because today I decided to do the 16 personalities test again, just to like ground myself in a way, and to be like, I wonder what I am now, you know? Like, the one thing I learned in DBT is curiosity, and it's better to be curious so that you can problem solve. So I did a personality test on the official website, and I got INFJ. And another thing with me is that I like I like science. Actually, I love science, and I'm a big believer of like consistency and repetitive results equals like more accuracy. So the more I get INFJ, the more I believe I am an INFJ. Like, trust me, I've taken this test since like maybe like senior year of high school. Maybe like let's see, that was like back in 2017, 2018, like 4 years ago. Wow, I should have a degree by now, but I don't. Anyways, um, yeah, I've taken that personality test for years now, and getting the repetitive results saying that I am an INFJ, or like the most repetitive result that I've had so far, INFJ. And I'm just like, okay, I'm an INFJ. Cool, sweet, goodbye. So that's what I'll be tying with for today, because I feel as if this personality trait also sort of checks out my BPD symptoms in a way. I guess we'll get into that in a bit, because I have the webpage open, because hell no, I am not an expert at this. That's the thing too. I'm not an expert. I'm a human being. I have no license or anything. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, even if I want to be. But for now, I'm just speaking out of experience, and just want to share the knowledge that I have, and wisdom and all that stuff, so people can benefit from it. And let's see. Do 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 do. Let's see. I'm looking over at the advocate personality traits. Like, I have gotten like this result multiple times, but it's just the whole outlining, like, oh, like like making these connections and just being like, wow, yeah, I do that. I do that. Let's see. Do 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 do. Connecting with others. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Alright, so I'm looking at the page on 16 personalities. There's this paragraph. Advocates value deep, authentic relationships with others, and they tend to take great care with other people's feelings. That said, these personalities also need to prioritize reconnecting with themselves. Advocates need to take some time alone now and then to decompress, recharge, and process their thoughts and feelings. And with my situation right now, I feel like that's the one thing people do not get. Like, well, back then, I didn't know that I need to get away and recharge, as they say. I just keep going and plowing through until I break and end up in the hospital. So now I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do to prevent that, to like prevent burnout. So, yeah. I'm sort of, my train of thought is derailing again. Okay. So the first sentence caught my attention because I feel like this is my cornerstone of why I got diagnosed. I'll read it again. Advocates value deep, authentic relationships with others, and they tend to take great care with other people's feelings. When I hurt someone, I hurt myself. Physically, mentally, emotionally. No matter how big, no matter how small, I take full accountability and I just deem myself as a horrible human being that walks on this earth, and I just feel evil. And one thing I guess recall or remember from having BPD and like symptoms or whatever, there's like black and white thinking, and the whole thinking that like, oh, I'm bad or I'm evil. So that's what I'm making connections with. And I'm like, wow, this personality trait and what I'm going through and like what I'm dealing with right now, my personality disorder and this personality trait. I'm like, yeah, these two line up. And I can't help but talk about it because I just find it interesting. Let me see. Yeah, and the whole thing with that is that I care deeply about other people's feelings, and I'd rather help them than myself. So despite all the self-care I should be doing for myself, I just find that to be way too selfish, and like I'm like, I'd rather help other people. Why would I help myself? I'm a bad human being. But at the same time, I feel like that's kind of like counterintuitive or whatever cuz I'm here like, wait a minute. If I'm a bad person, why am I trying to help others? But then I guess it kind of reminds me of this animated movie called A Silent Voice. And the brief synopsis of it is that there's this kid who used to bully a girl in his class, and eventually the bully became the prey. Like no one wanted to associate with him anymore because he was a bad kid, and like he was like, oh, that guy is bad news, don't be around him. And he eventually developed, like, he eventually got depressed and got suicidal ideations and all that jazz, and he wanted to make up for what he did by learning sign language. Yeah, by the way, the girl he was bullying when they were kids, she was deaf. So yeah, you can imagine like the whole bullying thing, and then growing up feeling guilty, wanting to atone for the mistakes that they did. But it's just really hard when people around him are less forgiving in a way. It's like, oh, I want to become a better person, but like all these obstacles are getting in my way. So, but eventually, fine, I'll talk about the end of the movie. Eventually, he gets over his like social anxiety, and his depression gotten better. Like he was able to see people's faces, he's able to face people, he's able to finally see the world that he lives in. And it's just so beautiful. Where was I going with this? Well, my train of thought and my connections have been disrupted. So I need a moment to remember. Okay. I'm trying to remember. Okay. Well, I guess all I can say right now is I feel the same way, like after hurting somebody really badly, no matter how big or small, even for me, I feel like that resorts to the worst case, or like the worst punishment I could ever receive, because I deserve it, because I think I deserve it, when in reality I'm just catastrophizing. I am just blowing everything out of proportion. It's like, oh, I stepped on an ant. Now now like all of the insects in the entire world is gonna die, and then if all the entire like insects around the world is gonna die, then it's gonna affect like the animal cycle or whatever the heck, and then like more animals would die, and then if more animals die, then people won't have food to eat, and if people don't have food to eat, then everybody in the world will die, and then it's all gonna be my fault. So it's just like that one little thing, even the littlest thing that I do wrong to somebody that I really care about, emphasis that I really care about, like in my close circle, I feel like the worst human being in the entire universe. And like I said, I go from like 0 to 100, not just on emotions, but like on my thoughts as well. And just like putting that to perspective, comparing it to like someone else, it's like, oh, I made a mistake, I'll fix it, don't worry about it, or like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. For me, my world is ending in like the next few moments. And that just ties back to my personality disorder, because one of the things that I'm prone to is the big S word that leads me to the hospital, and I eventually have to stay at a mental hospital for my own safety. And it just gets that bad. I'm pretty sure if someone steps on an ant, they wouldn't end up in the hospital because they feel that bad. Let's just put that in like an imaginary context, just to try and understand like my point of view and stuff. So yeah, it's insane. It's something I didn't think I still struggle with, because I'm going through DBT skills, but I guess during recovery, there are times where these skills, as useful as they are, they don't help in the moment that you really need them. But I'm not saying that like they will not help you in the moments you need them. No, like they do help you. But like I'm saying that there are setbacks when it comes to recovery. And I say setbacks even if my DBT coaches are like, oh, it's normal. I'm like, yeah, it's normal, but like, I fucking hate it. Excuse my language, just in case you're sensitive to cursing. But yeah, it just really sucks. And I just wish that I don't take all of these little things or these little mistakes or these like, or and like I wish I don't catastrophize, because that makes everything worse for me, while the other person probably isn't feeling like they're gonna die the next day or like their world is ending. And another thing that I want to mention as well is, along with BPD, are comorbid symptoms, or like fuck, my bad, comorbid disorders. And last time I tested, after getting out of the mental hospital, I've also tested for anxiety, obviously, depression, yes, OCD, and apparently I still have OCD. And I don't quite realize it until they like give me the questionnaire and ask me questions and like, oh, how do you feel with this? And I'm like, oh fuck no, I can't. And I feel like my OCD also ties in with how I deal with things, because if there's one little thing that's off, I feel like I'm gonna die. And the reason why I'm also mentioning my OCD is because at work today, considering all the things that's happening so far over the weekend and how distressed I am, my anxiety is just super bad, to the point where I guess it triggers my OCD related symptoms. Because at work today, even when it was raining, it was like raining cats and dogs today. And we were outside, but at least, you know, we work under a tent, and there are cones around us, or like in front of us, to redirect traffic and everything. And while things were dying down a bit, like today was really busy. But since my anxiety has been getting worse, and since I apparently have OCD still, which I thought I didn't, but I still do. Um, when I was looking at those traffic cones, it just really bothered me that they were unevenly spaced, and I fear that if I didn't fix all of these traffic cones, a gigantic truck or a car is gonna crash, and then that person's gonna die in the car, or the car is gonna run into us and it's gonna kill everybody. It's like, oh shit, if I don't fix these traffic cones, I'm gonna fucking die. And then that just worsens my anxiety. So I was just sitting there on my desk, on my work desk, just like tapping away, tapping away like my anxiety. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD too. Because when I was younger, I had that issue, but I'm not diagnosed with it as an adult. Adult ADHD is very lowly diagnosed at my age range. Anyways, what was I talking? Oh yeah, the nervousness and the whole anxiety thing. And it just caused me even more distress because this is my first job that I'm at, that I'm actually working. That sounds weird, but just to briefly sum it up, I was hired for another job, but I was only there for 2 days because I was a part-time and they wanted full-time. That's basically it. But now, since I have a job where like they actually want to keep me and everything, I don't want to be troubling. I don't want to be a nuisance. I don't want any of that. I don't want people to question like, oh, are they okay? Is there anything wrong with them? Do you need help? I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm fine. But like the more I succumb to these like anxiety and these like urges and like thoughts, like since everything's getting worse for me right now, since my weekend has been shit, it's just really hard for me to work. And I kind of hate it where people are like, oh my god, I need to clean this or whatever, my OCD, blah blah blah. I'm like, bruh, really now? Are you gonna die the next day? I do not think so. But what was I going with this? Frick. But yeah, to those who joined, thank you so much for joining. And just a brief introduction. This is not scripted whatsoever. There's no outline, no nothing. I'm just speaking in a flow because I prefer that way. I feel like you get more like I feel like I can be more genuine in that approach. And really talk about stuff rather than thinking about like, oh, I'll be talking about this next, blah blah blah. I just feel like it's better to just go with the flow because that's how emotions go. That should be my next catchphrase. Go with the flow because that's how emotions go. But yeah. So yeah, like not only am I dealing with my BPD symptoms getting worse because of this situation that I put myself in, or that's like troubling me, it's also worsening my other symptoms, like the symptoms that applies with my freaking personality disorder, like, and the comorbid disorders that I have: depression, anxiety, ADHD. I also have an eating disorder, and I have OCD, and it's just wow. Hello, hi, I'm BPD. Oh, by the way, have you met my friends? Yeah, they come with me. You have no other choice. And I'm like, okay, I guess. Not everyone with BPD has like all these lists of symptoms, but for me, I have those stuff. And it's hard. And I've been also whatchamacallit, I've also been struggling with an ED since I was at a very young age, as young as I can remember. When I was like 9 or 10, yeah, for sure, because I started noticing I was comparing my body to other girls and all that stuff. So like this personality disorder is just it's just, it's really unbearable, and I have to learn how to deal with it. And I'm just really grateful to have a good support system, and I'm finally getting treatment that I need. But despite all these treatments and stuff, there will be setbacks. But I'm just thankful that I can learn DBT skills that can help me manage my emotions more, since they're very helpful. Because there's more things wrong with me apparently. I mean, I guess I don't know. Like last time when I got diagnosed or like did like some questionnaire things, I thought I was over my. I thought my OCD got better. I thought my anxiety got better. I thought my ADHD symptoms are gone, but no, I still struggle with it, and it's hard for me to reach out about my ADHD and my ED because it's stigmatized for ADHD. It's like, oh, you're an adult now. Like, yeah, like, I don't know. How do I say this? It's like people are more prone to, or like not people, like psychiatrists or whatever, like those professionals are more prone to like diagnosing kids and younger teens with ADHD than adults. Because like adult ADHD is different. And I had to live that shit. And then not only that, I also had to live with like an ED that I still need treatment for it, but I'm just delaying it because it's just that hard for me to go through. But like with all these things that are like piling up, it's not making me recover how I want to recover. And that's what's really frustrating. Like despite like all of my hard work and stuff, there are just these setbacks that slows down my process, I guess. I mean, there's no time limit to like when I feel better. I mean, I guess the time limit is like until I die, but I don't want all of these issues till like I'm a grandma or whatever. So, just having, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm only 22. So, hopefully I'll get the treatment that I need in due time, but for now it's just right now it's just not a good period of my life at this point. I did have a period of time where everything was nice. I was actually feeling good. My depression symptoms lessened by a lot. I was actually feeling good week by week, and I was surprised. But now, since the situation happened, I'm really going down the deep end. Like the roller coaster is like once the roller coaster drops, it goes back up, right? No, I'm still going down that roller coaster ride. It's scary, and the gravity against my chest is unbearable, but I'm sort of bearing it, I guess. And then I just want that roller coaster go up already, or at least do a loop, you know? I mean, there's been one loop at least, but I don't know if you're getting this like analogy of like, okay, basically roller coaster of emotions. Like just my state of mental being and like everything else. So there's just so many things that I have to deal with right now, but I guess I'm coming in terms with. All right, let's see. And I'm tying all of my BPD symptoms and what I deal with my disorders to my personality trait that I got as a result consistently, and just making those connections because I just find it interesting, and it makes it in a way like validates me. It's like, oh wow, like yeah, that is me. Because another thing with BPD is that I don't have a stable sense of self-image. Like there are days where I don't know who I am. There are like I can barely look at a mirror, because if I look at a mirror, I'm like, I just feel so disconnected with myself. It's like, wow, this is me? Huh. Really? Is that me? And that's what sucks too, because not only my mood is constantly like shifting in a way, but it's also like my sense of self. Hiya. So here's a sentence from my result on 16personalities.com. A personal mission. Advocates just need to remember that while they're busy taking care of the world, they need to take care of themselves too. And this just goes back to, oh, that's why I mentioned a silent voice. Cuz like, oh, I want to fix everything, but wait a minute. I need to work on myself too. What the heck? But yeah, having that issue is just ah. Let's see. Alright, so one of the strengths for an advocate is passionate. Let's talk about that. Advocates can pursue their ideals with a single mindedness that may catch others off guard. These personalities rarely settle for good enough, and their willingness to disrupt the status quo may not please everyone. That said, advocates' passion for their chosen cause is a key aspect of their personality. The whole thing of being good enough is a whole nother thing that ties in with what I have to deal with. And it's like, is this good enough? Was my apology good enough? Was that one thing I did today good enough? And it gets really distressing, and it gets to a point where like, why am I doing this? like seriously, like if I'm not going to be good enough, if nothing I do is good enough, then what the hell's the point? And that goes back to the whole black and white thinking or splitting. It's like, okay, if I do this wrong, then it's black. If I do this right, it's white. That's another catchphrase I can do. That actually sounds pretty cool. I should try it. Anyways, yeah, just with the whole like rarely settling for good enough. For me, it's just like the whole. I connect it with like the whole 0 to 100. It's either good or it's bad. There's no in between. If it's not good enough, it's not good at all for me. And that's in a way like self-sabotaging. And I came to learn that through DVT skills as well. It's like, oh, I did these things and they're good enough. Like these little things, these little improvements that I do, they're good enough. But it just sucks because I don't take credit to that. And it just makes everything worse. And it's like, I want to make up for all the mistakes that I did. I want to be good enough for other people. But it doesn't help that I can't even think good of myself. And that's what's like really distressing. And that's what really sucks. As much as I'm trying to be a better person and all that, I get these setbacks. And as my symptoms worsen and I don't... it just sucks. Let's just sum it up. It just sucks. But little by little, I guess I'll be feeling better. But in the meantime, I just wanted to make this podcast in hopes it could help other people and just let them know they're not alone, and hopefully like what I'm going through can be relatable and can help others as well. I am still struggling with accepting the fact that I made a mistake. I did mention I also have OCD. And it just really sucks. And I also touched upon dissociation. And what really sucks with dissociation is that I wish I can be like, oh, I'm gonna dissociate. Guys, I'm about to dissociate. Whatever I do in the next 5 minutes, please ignore all that. Ignore that, because that's not me. If I say, I can't do that. It just happens. And I can't control that. I mean, that's another reason why I'm also taking DBT classes in hopes that, like, I catch these signs sooner so I can deal with them sooner and things don't get worse. But what really fucking sucks with dissociation, for me, is that I can be so distressed in a situation and then not remember anything I say, anything I do, and then once I learn about that, it's the worst feeling ever. Because I hurt someone that I really care about. And I don't mean to do that at all. And I talked about owning up to mistakes. And the whole guilt process and how a person like me with BPD have to struggle with that in relationships. I don't mean to guilt trip. I'm legit burying myself for you. I'm like, yo, instead of 6 feet deep, I'm gonna dig like down to like the earth's core, if that's okay with you. Like, I'm just gonna dig all the way down. But like, in no way am I trying to guilt trip anybody. In reality, it's like, I am so sorry that I did that. I am so freaking sorry. I'm sorry to the point where, like, I am unforgivable. And like I said, it just goes from 0 to 100. And I really wish that I can have, like, these skills, if, like, I can have skills on, like, how to, in a way, I don't know, how to, like, apologize, I guess? But, like, I just can't help it. And the bully in my head is like, you're just making up excuses. You're just this, you're just that. This is all in your head. You deserve all this. You deserve to suffer. You deserve to be buried 10 feet underground. And I'm like, you're right. Yeah, I do deserve that. And that goes to the whole catastrophizing, the whole black and white thing. And it's just, it's really tiring. Especially if you're trying to recover from something. And in no way, in no means, am I excusing my mistakes, or like, my mistakes to what I'm going through. I take full responsibility. I feel so bad. And like, I really, really wish I can stop ruining relationships that mean a lot to me. 'Cause it really hurts. And I'm just glad I talked to my therapist today. 'Cause he reminded me that I'm a human being. I'm living. I'm one person on this earth. And everyone makes mistakes. And in due time, just let time take its place. Let things heal. Take care of yourself. And remember that you're on a journey of healing yourself, of becoming a better person. And it's not a straight line. There's gonna be ups and downs. But I really wish I can stop hurting people that I care about, even when I don't mean to. And what really sucks this time is that I apparently dissociated that entire time, because I don't remember anything that I said. I don't remember anything I did to upset that person. And I really wish we talked about it. Because I'm a different person now, and after learning these EBT skills, he could have at least told me, hey, you said this, and it made me feel bad. And I would have been like, oh my god, I am so sorry that I hurt you like that. Because I really cherish all of my friends. Because I barely had any growing up. And to have one friend by my side is unbelievable for me. Because like I said with the whole BPD thing, I'm a horrible person. Why would anyone want to be friends with me? But to have people by my side, and they think I'm a good person, and they want to be with me, and they love me for who I am, even if I don't know who I am. And then to hurt that person hurts me so much. And I just wish, I don't know, like, I just wish that I can handle things better. I wish I can do everything right so I can get the results that I want. But that doesn't happen. I have no instruction manual to say the right things at the right time. I don't think anyone has that. And I try to incorporate that. I try to be like, okay. I try to validate the fact that there's no instruction manual to, like, do this or that. You learn by experience. And I just wish things were easier, but it's not. It's a part of life. And I'm so sorry for crying. I just went really deep there. Like I said, like, this is all unscripted because I want to channel, like, personal core feelings. Because this podcast, now that I think about it, it means a lot to me. Because I can look back and be like, wow, that was a shitty part of my life. That was a shitty period of my life. Now I'm here. And I went past that. I did it. And I'm still here today. And that's what makes it very important to anyone who struggles with anything. Anything at all. Like I said, it can be big, it can be small. But if it hurts you, if you're at least taking a step forward, if you're at least lifting a finger, if you're at least saying, I'm gonna still breathe today, you did a good job. You're still here. And to commemorate your progress, to commemorate that you're still here is amazing. And I want you to know that. Whatever you're going through, no matter how big or small, take accountability. Really realize that you're doing good. Even if it's just a little bit. If you notice that, like, my back hurts less today, or like, hey, cool, I can sit up on my bed today. That's great. That's really great. To, like, really appreciate the little things in life. And I just want to remind you of that. Whatever you're going through, you'll be okay. And I care about you. I might not know you, but I'm making this podcast in hopes it can reach other people and let them know and remind them that they're also human and that they matter. need a moment. Good. I don't know why I like doing these things, but I just genuinely hope that one day when I do leave this world, somehow in some way, these podcasts, whatever I talk about from the bottom of my heart, can help other people in going through what they're dealing with and giving them that little push to keep going. Fuck, man. I'm so sorry. Like, to dissect all these things with what I have to deal with is like really hard. But at the same time, I'm glad I'm doing it because, in a way, it helps me see what I need to fix and what I need to work on. And to the person I really hurt, like, I really am sorry. I wish I could turn back time, but I can't. What's done is done. I did something I regret, and I'm sorry. And I hope they could forgive me. But I try to forgive myself in the process. And it's really hard. Living with BPD sucks. And I wish people were more educated on that. But I don't blame them. And, you know, they don't have to, like, read, like, a thick psychology book, DSM-5, whatever, to understand what I'm going through. But, again, it in no way does it excuse, like, all my mistakes and stuff. It just really fucking sucks. Oh my god. Alright. Now we're going back. We're sort of going back to the whole, comparing the personality trait with my personality disorder. INFJ, and then BPD. So, one of the weaknesses is prone to burnout. Advocates' perfectionism and reserve may leave them with few options for letting off steam. People with this personality type can exhaust themselves if they don't find a way to balance their drive to help others with necessary self-care and rest. I connect this with the whole feeling numb when it comes to BPD and feelings of emptiness. What fills that hole for me are the friendships that I have, what little friendships I have in my life, and I cherish them deeply. And also my family, obviously. Like, without them, I would not be here. I really would not. If it weren't for the support system that I have, I would not be here. That's for sure. And I'm sure people can relate to that. One thing I learned over the course of a few years is that parents are still alive because they have their children to look after. And honestly, like, even if I'm not a parent, I can vibe with that because you have something to live for, you have something to cultivate. Like, the whole burnout thing and having to struggle with burnout, feeling numb, and like, what's the point in doing all this when I'm just gonna die anyways? One thing I learned in DBT skills is that despite life being so short, you have to make a life that's worth living because life is precious. That's what my dad always tells me. Life is precious. And literally there are days where I'm like, no, life freaking sucks. I want to die. Please, like someone just like, no, you know what? Here, give me the shovel. Give me the. I'll dig my own grave. Let me do it. But life is precious and it's limited. And just really cherish all the moments that you have in your life. Even if you feel empty, even if you feel like you've done nothing in life, have something in there. One little thing that can give you joy. Maybe it can be something that you're like, whatever. But if it gets you through the day, that's great. If it gives you something like a little drop of water in the drought, that's great. Just, man, with the whole prone to burnout thing, that's another thing that I struggle with as